I'm Libby Stubbs.
And I'm Millie Connell.
And we both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us Talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email commercial@millwall-lionesses.com. I'll say that again. Just email commercial@millwall-lionesses.com.
That is all you have to do, and it will help us to get back to where we belong.
Now enjoy our Millwall fan show from the No One Likes Us Talking team.
Hello and welcome to the No One Likes Us Talking podcast. Join us today. We have Dave Hart. Hi, Dave.
Evening, Gary.
Stan Godwin. Hi, Stan.
All right. You all right, Gary? All right, mate?
Good. And James Kelly. How you doing, James?
Hey, Gary. You all right? How's it going?
Yeah, all good. Good.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Right, firstly, I suppose we've got to talk about them, so we get them out of the way early. Preston and Fulham. I'll let Dave go first. You can pick either game. If you want to talk about both, it's up to you.
Well, I was talking about Preston. When I went to the game, I was a bit disappointed. It was a 0-0 draw, but I think that Preston had come down for a draw. They were set out that way, so disappointed on the night. And Fulham, went to Fulham and come away losing 3-0. Could have been different, but I wasn't too upset about it because I was quite pleased with our performance.
No, fair enough. I'll put something in there. I just found Preston hard, and literally I felt, as soon as I walked in the ground, I felt something's not right about tonight. It's not going to go right for us. But this is the problem I'm finding, and if you agree, guys, that we can, when we have games like this, and it's always on a Tuesday night when it's a bit cold, players can't be bothered. Preston definitely turned up for the draw. You can see that straight away. They got lucky with a penalty. I don't know how Kevin Friend gave the penalty when literally every single penalty box in the country up and down, that's been happening all season. He sees it once down the den, goes for a penalty. Anyway, we'll let enough of that said anyway. And this is where we lack as a team. Fulham come up against that Preston team on Tuesday night, last Tuesday. They win that 1-0, a dirty win, 1-0. Mitrovic finds a way of scoring. We can't find a way of scoring against these teams. And I just wanted to get that out there. Fulham, I agree with Dave. I wasn't too disappointing considering the last two teams in there got a smack 6-2. So, and if we knew where the back of the net was, or what those white posts meant, we would have given them a better game. But I'll pass over to Stan now, mate.
Well, the Preston game was a disappointment, and I agree with you that they definitely come down for the draw, which I find bemusing to say the least. I mean, if my memory serves me correctly, when they got that penalty, and was it in the second half?
Yeah, halfway through the second half.
Well, I think you'll find if there was a film of it and you could rerun it the whole of the second half, I suspect that penalty was the nearest shot they had on goal, really, or the only time they threatened the goal.
Yeah.
All right, I know he missed it, but I think you'll find other than that, they didn't have. They didn't do a lot, and they just come down, sat behind the ball. I mean, okay, they come down and they sit behind the ball, and it's our job to break them down. And for whatever reason, we just couldn't do that. And you've seen the problem is, when we played the previous home game, didn't we? It was all on such an eye, and then the next home game becomes a bit of an anticlimax.
But the probably difference is, though, Stan, do you think West Brom have got an attacking team and they will come in to try and beat us because they needed the points? That opens the game up, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, yes, it does. But but again, you see, if you take the West Brom game as for instance, right? I mean, frankly, I was disappointed with them because they come out in the first half and all they were doing was lumping it down to Andy Carroll, and in the second half, right? Well, I tell you what, in the first half, my mate was sitting next to me, and the way they were going into tackles, West Brom, my mate said to me, he said, we'll be lucky, he said, if come 45 minutes time, we still got 22 men on the pitch, right? Because they weren't just going into tackles, they were taking players out.
Weren't they really moaning at the referee quite a lot? I didn't go to the game, I was at a family thing, but I watched the highlights back, and all I saw was Livermore and two other companions literally just surrounding the ref the whole time.
Well, probably did, but I West Brom fans, right? I'm not saying they never had the hump because they got beat, but I mean it doesn't surprise. I mean they must. I mean if I'd have been sitting there, I'd have been horrified with it because they were just lumping it to Carroll, and in the second half, I forgot he was actually on the pitch. Right, that's how effective they was in the second half. So. You know, West Brom, in my opinion, have played nothing like the team that they was. I mean, Allardyce was always renowned for a route one. I mean, even he wouldn't have played that sort of. He dished up that sort of tripe they was doing. In fairness to him, I just thought they were poor all round, and they were just. But we won the game, and in the second half, I mean, we won it and deservedly so. I mean, if you take a Phobie's goal, that wouldn't have been possible for him to score in the first half. I know it might sound a bit weird, but the sooner he got on there wouldn't have been that sort of space anyway. And if there had been anything like that, they'd have knocked him up in the air. But no, I mean, but as I say, Preston, it was a bit of an anticlimax. Well, Fulham, but then you see. Fulham played Blackpool, didn't they? And they drew 0-0 the previous game or something.
1-1.
Well, 1-1. Now I'd have thought they'd have beaten Blackpool, but for whatever reason they didn't, and I'm not being disrespectful to Blackpool when I say that. So you never know what's going to happen, do you? I mean, I wouldn't have thought. I'd have thought they'd have beaten Blackpool, but no. I mean, but the first goal. I mean, I think it was McNamara. He switched off when the bloke passed the ball down the line, and because there was people standing near me, and they're all moaning, and because they were sort of having they weren't moaning at us, but they were moaning at the fact that when Fulham they got the ball and they was sending it backwards and forwards along the line and whatever. And then I had to say to some bloke, look, mate, I said, the reason they're doing that is to try and pull us out of position. That's what they're doing it for. They ain't doing it because they've got nothing else to do.
Exactly.
They're doing it so they can get the defence and whatever out of our position. As it happens, it didn't happen. And he said, oh, right, okay. He said, and that was that. I thought, well.
Just shows the mentality, really, Dave, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean,
right.
You know. But that's the way Fulham are, isn't it? That's the way they are.
Exactly. James, what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I get what people are saying about being frustrated against Preston because, as we've alluded to, they did come down to the game for a point, and fair play to them, they nearly got all three. If it weren't for the penalty miss, but I mean,
if you look back on the highlights, we had some really good chances in that game.
We went for it. Like we brought some attacking players. We brought on who was it? Mahoney, Bury, Jed Wallace. But again, they came sat 10 men behind the ball, and got a point from it, which was frustrating. But we can't sit here and say we didn't try and win the game, because with the players we brought on and the subs we made, I thought we actually did. We tried to go for it in the end, but and then, Fulham was just a free hit, really, wasn't it? I mean, they've beaten Reading, Blackburn 7-0. I think they beat Birmingham 6-2. I was saying before, just before we came on, the reason that someone said that they were one of the best teams, that we were one of the best teams they played at home for a few seasons, because they didn't put 5 or 6 past us. So and we did actually give them we took the game to them. I thought early on, Ollie Burke going down the wing and nearly finding a Phobie. And then a Phobie's chance in the second half, along with Mason Bennett and Jeb Wallace's chances in the second half as well. But yeah, I mean, the reason that they're top of the league and we're 15th is because they've got a £25 million striker in Mitrovic, who's now, I think, on 30 goals this season in February. And, they took their chances really well and we didn't. So, but games like that they're not going to be the games that define our season, really. It's going to be the teams around us or the teams just above us, not top of the league. So I'm not too disheartened with it. I mean, I know you'd be a bit more frustrated, Gary, because you went, but
it was different. I saw a different game from behind the goal.
Yeah, watching it on TV, I don't think we played awfully. Yeah, and I think 3-0 does flatter them a little bit, because we did play some all right stuff. Well,
if you look at their goals, they were all 3 tap-ins. They weren't weldies, or they didn't have to work. They would just pass. Yeah, but you can't. But you can't. But for the especially for the first and the second, you can't let
a bagsman like Mitrovic roam free in the box.
No,
like lead the way he did. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, right.
I tell you what, I reckon if you looked at Mitrovic's goals this season, if you could have a look at every goal he's scored, I bet you could count on one hand how many of them he's put in with his head.
Oh yeah.
I bet all of them have been on the ground, and that bloke's got to be what, 6'3", 6'4", something like that. They didn't pump. I mean, all right, he was there for the corners when they got the odd corner and the free kick, but they weren't constantly pumping eyeballs into him.
No,
don't need to.
But then again, they've got the likes of. They've got the likes of Harry Wilson, who cost £12 million. They've got Neco Williams, who's on loan from Liverpool. They've got Fabio Carvalho. They've got Fabio Carvalho, who was nearly signed by Liverpool on deadline day. And when fans are disappointed, the fans of a team like Liverpool are disappointed that they couldn't get him over the line, and then he goes and scores a goal against Man City in the FA Cup, you know he's a special player. Yeah. So you know they were always going to carve us apart. They're levels above us in terms of quality. So. That what's his name? Carvalho. Right now, I tell you what, this is an interesting thing because you keep hearing about budgets this and budgets that and whatever, right? They signed him from some team in southwest London, some sort of Sunday team or whatever, right? And when he played against us this season for the first time down at the Den when it was the second or third game in, they reckon that was his seventh competitive game.
Bloody hell. Right?
This time last year, that's what I'm saying. See, this is what bugs me when I keep hearing about budgets, because the people, the narrative is, they got big budgets, the quality cream comes to the top and all the rest of it. And I'm not saying that ain't true, but it's not as black and white as that.
But they still found a bargain.
Yeah, and they've got him. And he's also represented, although he was born in Lisbon, I don't understand the English connection, but he's actually represented England at 2 levels. So, but what I'm getting at, that kid there, this time last year he was playing in sort of non-league or reserve team football, whatever, and he come on against us in that first game, didn't he? Tore us apart, and he was brilliant the other night. And as you say, he's on his way to Liverpool.
Yeah.
But that's So all I'm saying is, people have to be. What they want to do is be a little bit circumspect, about budgets and whatever. Sandy, if Gary Rowett's got 70 million quid in his back pocket to spend, that comes in handy. I don't deny that.
Yeah.
But it's not as straightforward as that. That's all I ever say.
Right. Well, on that point, I will explain how the show is going to go today. So in the first part of the show, we'll be discussing the formation and should we have got money for Jed in the transfer window. Then in the second part of the show, we'll be discussing and speaking with a Lions player. And in the third part of the show, we've got Tim Sells on from the Millwall Community Trust. We'll be talking the Romans, the Pride, and the games ahead for the Lions. But before we get started, let's talk and listen to the Proper Blokes Club.
Hello, I'm Scott and I founded the Proper Blokes Club. What is that I hear you say? Well, it's for men who have experienced or going through a tough time and fancy going for a walk and a talk. Or it could be you just want to get back on top of your game, maybe feeling lonely, or you could even be new to the area and just want to get out for a walk and a talk. This could be for you. So if you'd like to join us, we run sessions every Thursday, Sunday, starting at HMS Belfast, walking along the Thames up towards Surrey Quays. Thursday start time is 6 o'clock and Sunday start time is 6:30. If you guys are on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, find the Proper Blokes Club, give it a like, give it a follow, tag and share with your friends, or if you'd like to do it the old-fashioned way, you can call Scott on 07397 501110. That's 07397 501110. and we can make arrangements for you to come along. So I look forward to seeing you joining us soon at the Proper Blokes Club.
I'm Gary Staff, and I'm back with a No One Likes a Talking team of Dave Hart, Stan Godwin and James Kelly. So now we're going to move on to the discussion part of the show. Not that we've already been discussing Millwall for the last 20 minutes anyway. But I want to talk about formation, and then the second part, should we have got some money for Jed in January. I'm going to start about the formation. Personally, I've been following Millwall for 42 years now. Me and my dad, and back with my granddad in the day as well. And I'm just personally, and I was talking, and the reason we added this in tonight is following the game, we had our own personal WhatsApp chat, and some very, very valid views in there. But I just want to put mine out there, and some of the main people who are discussing that are on the show tonight, to say, look, I've been supporting Millwall since I was 4 years old. And in that time, I've seen Millwall in the FA Cup final. I've seen us promoted to the old First Division Premier League, as was, whatever it's called. I've seen us in 2 playoff finals. I've seen us get to at least 3 or 4 playoff quarterfinals and 2 playoff finals where we've lost now. I've seen us get to FA Cup semi-finals. And all those times, we were playing not attacking football, but more exciting football. And I think that is what I think is missing from the game at the moment. On Tuesday morning, I think, or Monday morning, Gary Rowett said, if you're coming to a place like Fulham, you've got to come out and attack these teams. Sorry, but how can you come out and attack a team when after the game you then said, I wanted to defend for 16 minutes, hope we're only 1-0 down, and then go for it? Sorry, but that's what I'm getting really frustrated about. I'm never a growl out. I was never a nil out. I never a manager out. I get frustrated with the way they play, but I hope for success for these guys because I want success for Millwall. Sometimes, yes, you might have to change to get that. But at the moment, when he's playing 5 at the back, 2 in front, and what is that, 6 or 7 defenders, I can't keep count at the moment, and it's just hard. And it's just hard to get excited about a team that's been told to sit back for 60 minutes. And I saw that team on Saturday night on Friday in the cab with my dad, and I was like, well, you know what's going to happen. We've got no chance. You, like Gary said, you have to go out and attack these teams. Then why didn't he do what he said? So I've got it off my chest. That's my point. I personally would go 4 at the back, maybe 2 in front, 1 in between, and then the 2 wide, and then 1 up front. That's personally what I would do. I know it's a bit narrow, but it might work for us. But I'm just getting really frustrated with a 5 at the back because, and when he put Pearce on, sorry Pearce, I know you're a good guy, but I personally thought that was the biggest mistake when you got a 75-year-old centre back playing in the middle there. Hopefully Ballard will be back at the weekend and that can change. So that's my point. I'll let you guys decide who wants to step up first, and away you go.
I'll take it. I totally agree with what you're saying. The exciting football is not there. We've always had a bit of the fans have had a rapport with the team, and I think that's missing. There's not that connection at the moment, so that's why it seems to be boring. 4-4-2 was always successful for a long time, but you can't be rigid on a formation. Having seen this 5 at the back, which can switch to 3 at the back with the 2 wing backs coming forward, I find that quite a good way to play. With so you can go from, if you've got 3 in the middle picking up players, but you've got 5 at the back defending, and when you get the ball you're playing out, those 2 support the midfield going forward, but 2 up front. A single player up front, to me, isn't the way to be. You need 2 people up front that can knockdowns, tap-ins, whatever. And that's not happening. So that's not working for me.
No, I agree. They'll go back to 2 up front, and the negativity of the fans is what I put on our discussion points here tonight. And then we haven't got a connection. I do feel was it Stan who was there on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I was down there as well. Yeah.
Did you? The crowd tried, didn't we, Stan? We tried to get behind the players. We really did.
Yeah. I mean, but you see, I mean, we started. Let me just say this: I checked on my phone, right? I looked at the fixtures on the way back, right? In the Championship. Now, on my phone, and it's probably the case on a lot of my phones, right? When you get on there, you go to I look for the scores and you get up the stats about the team, what the team is and whatever. And on my one, it gives you the lineup and it lines it up. Now, we started on Tuesday night with a 3-5-2 or whatever, right? But we had 3 at the back, right? And then I looked. Now, you see, people keep banging on about this 4-4-2. Now, I looked on because I can only talk about when you look at the lineup, what it is at the start of the game. Now, that's not to say half an hour later they might change it for a very good reason somewhere, right? But on that night, there was 3 teams, right, playing in our league 4-4-2. Well, no, it was Crystal Palace because they played. They had a cup game, and Hodgson always plays 4-4-2. But there was 2 teams in the fixtures of the Championship that's a 4-4-2. Now, Tom Bradshaw has said, and I read him, he said that 4-4-2 is a system now, is dying out, right? Now, you see, somebody makes the point about the one striker up front. I'm not saying it's a good thing or I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But again, last week I'm listening to Les Ferdinand, right? Premier League, right? They only play with 1 up front. Nobody plays with 2 up. Tom Bradshaw said the other week in an interview he gave that 4-4-2 as a system is going out. And the other thing I would say is that when we get these people turn around and say, well, we want Rowett out because we don't like the football he's playing, then again, you see, they want to be careful what they're wishing for, because if we was to go continental and get a manager coming from the continent, he won't be playing 4-4-2, big man, little man up the front, because they don't do it. They will do what they all do.
Interesting. What are your thoughts, James?
Yeah, it's a very divisive one, to be honest. I mean, you'd say, look, it's keeping us in the division, which is what our budget, sort of says that we should be aspiring to, because you look at other teams in the division and their budgets and their wage bills and how they're significantly superior to ours. And like him or not, Gary Rowett is doing a good job in that sense. We are stable in the Championship. We can, we are doing well. It's just, I would like us to be a bit more attacking, and just to try and be a bit more excited when I'm watching matches. When I go to games, when I pay my money to go and see it. I look at, for example, Stoke a few months ago when we switched to a back four at half time. And we scored 2 goals in 10 minutes. We've done the same. I think we've done the same against Reading. In the second half, after a very flat first half, we came out of the blocks and we just absolutely annihilated them. Who was it? Fulham. When we took Alex Pearce off in the second half and brought Jed Wallace on, we really had a go at it. And that's what I want to see. As I've said, it keeps us in the division. We're not looking over our shoulder like we did under Harris when we played 4 at the back and we just didn't use our midfielders because we were just lumping up to the forwards all the time. That for me is what I'm most annoyed. I'm most not annoyed, but most hoping for. I don't mind if we play 5 at the back as long as our midfielders are moving, as long as they're getting, as long as they're getting involved and they're getting forward and they're doing their bit. Because other than that, it's just not really working, and we're getting found out by doing it.
Interesting. So, moving on to the second point of our discussion points, you mentioned Jed there, James. Should we have got money for him in the January transfer window? Me personally, I don't think so. I'm quite happy he stayed. Hopefully, by him staying, we can maybe get him to sign that contract. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we might be able to get him to sign that contract, and he might stay a couple more years. But I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I would have sold him. we had this discussion on deadline day actually, and we look at it and it's like, well, we get these players and then we just let them run their contracts out, and then we don't get any investment in return. It's not a very efficient way I see it of us just throwing our eggs in a basket and hoping that Jed Wallace will sign a new contract. Honestly, personally, I think the idea of him signing a new contract at best is dubious. I don't see it happening, honestly. I think I would have gone all out to try and sell him, even if we got, say, $1 million for him. We've got him for the rest of the season. Okay, great. If he puts in performances, great. But we do now run the risk of him going on a free. And if Nottingham Forest want him again in the summer and Jed wants to go there, they can just get him for nothing. That's how I see it.
Fair enough. Anyone else?
Well, the only thing I'd add to that is that, Jed will. If Jed goes, he will go for nothing. There's no question of that. Personally, I always thought we were sort of blowing in the wind if we thought we was going to get any sort of big transfer fee. My view is that if we'd have had the chance of selling, and then he should have been sold. And equally, when the end of this season comes, or when he will go. No argument, he will go. But it's but if he's being told by his agent, no, hold on, that's what he's going to do. So it's not as simple as just saying, oh well, we get him signed up earlier. I agree, but it's saying it's one thing, doing it's something else. It's not as simple as that. You've got agents involved, and possibly other clubs.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. We were never going to get big money for Jed if he had gone in the window that's just closed. I think $500,000 probably the maximum we would have got.
No, I agree.
Can I just make a quick point? Because it's worth mentioning when we talk about transfer windows and one thing and another. Take old John Daddy Bavardson. He's now gone on a free transfer. In August, right? He was offered to go out on loan, and he point blank refused to do that. Now, had he not, and I wondered whether when he got round to the January window, I ain't going. I'm staying here, and I'm going to see out my contract. If the club could have done absolutely nothing about it. It's the reality. But thankfully he went and off he's gone. Fine.
But on the flip side of that, it's the club's fault. He's happy to take.
That goes down to Harris. That's Harris.
He never really was interested. He was just happy to just sit on a wage, which the club offered him.
But in that circumstance, though, it's all weighted in their favour. That's not the point I'm making. And that's it.
Right, well, that was interesting, guys. And next up, we were listening to Harvey Brown and the Lions Food Hub.
First of all, let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? It is now located in the Millwall Community Trust car park. That's beside Millwall's Den in Ballina Road. That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need support, and you can help if you can by making a one-off or a regular monetary donation online at Banquet, that is BANKUET, or on a Saturday you should make donations pre-match at the hub about 50 metres down from the Lions store. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via their Twitter and Facebook sites.
I'm Gary Staff, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Stan Godwin and James Kelly. Now we're going to move on to the part of the show where we talk to a Lions legend. This Millwall legend was born in Dublin in 1982. He started his career in the Millwall youth team. He then signed professional terms with the Lions in March 2000, making his debut on the 19th of March 2002 against Sheffield United. He played 341 games with the Lions, scoring 17 goals, and spent 15 seasons and a total of 22 years with the Lions before moving on to Leyton Orient and then on to Bromley where he is the current manager. Welcome to the show, Alan Dunne.
Evening, gents.
Right.
How are we?
Evening, Alan.
Hi, Alan. Good. Alan, before I pass you over to the team, how did a boy from Dublin manage to find himself in the Millwall youth team?
And then I was brought up in Islington and Camden and just playing district football as you do. And you got scouted 9 at the time, 9 3/4. And it was on my 10th birthday that my dad said to me, you've got a trial at Millwall. Do you want to go? I said, yeah. It was my final game at Millwall against Wolves. So I never thought 23 years I'd be at one club. And I scored 23 goals, not 17.
Oh, you blame Wikipedia for that.
FA Cup count, they don't count FA Cup or FA Cup appearances in the Wikipedia.
Fair enough.
Evening, Alan. It's James here. So you played under so many Millwall managers in your time, but for you, who was the most influential?
I think for me, when Kenny was there, I'd been at the club so long, I'd become comfortable in my surroundings and in my performance. And Kenny was the first one to try and when you become comfortable, you don't fulfil your potential. And I think Kenny gave me a wake up call one summer and said to me that I needed to go. And it was a wake up call because you do become comfortable in your surroundings and I think it was a tactical bit of management from Kenny that woke me up and made me feel like I can't just sit on what I've got. And he woke me up with that, Kenny. So he was influential. He knew what I was about. He was experienced and he gave me great advice and he got the best out of me by using tactics like, right, you can go and find a club. And that gave me a little wake up and a call I needed at a young age. And after that, I got my head down and got back to playing football I knew I could play.
Yeah, Kenny Jackett always struck me as a very good man manager in the way that he conducted himself in interviews, the way that he, coached players and the way that the players played under him. So, and I think a very good example of that was the League One playoff final in 2010, where we just absolutely dominated Swindon, and he was just on the touchline, he just carried on getting us to go forward and to try and get more. And yeah, I think that's so. Yeah, I would actually agree.
He was a great coach, Kenny. Great man management, great coach, and he didn't show his card much, which kept everyone in the know-how. But he wanted to play. He made it simple. We simplified it. He worked to the team's strengths. He knew how to manage the team. And he knew how to manage me. And one of his ways of managing me was keep bringing in right backs because it kept me on it. It made me have to graft a bit more to keep my position. And I had many right backs over the years. And Kenny would bring a right back in 2-3 a year. But it just made me not get comfortable. It made me want to not lose my shirt. And it was one of his ways of tactically managing and managing people.
Mm.
Well, that obviously works, Alan. It's Dave here. You just you scored 23 goals?
23.
For the Lions? Oh, great. Now, tell me, do you have a favourite? I know I do. Personally, my favourite that I saw you score was away at Walsall. That was an absolute cracker, and I really enjoyed that goal. But have you got a favourite goal that you scored?
I actually scored that in training today, that goal with the boys messing about at the end. I know I'm assistant manager at Bromley, but we was having a little bit of shooting contest and I hit the same one. And I said to them, I scored this at Millwall Walsall, and they laughed at me. Like, didn't believe me. But yeah, I think that year was the year we went up. It got goal of the season. It was an important point for us at that time. It was an important goal and left foot outside the box. You don't get many chances as a right back to hit him with your left foot outside the box. And it ended up a point that got us in the playoffs that year, and we ended up going up. So probably my favourite goal, and then also one at Leicester against Schmeichel, 89th minute on Sky Sports. It's always great scoring on telly at Leicester, and that was a goal of mine as well. That I thought them two goals were highlights that I was proud of, and I look back on with great memories.
What about the one in the Army kit, Al? I know we lost that day, but it was cracking for the edge of the box as well, wasn't it?
That was, and Tony Craig was playing for Brentford, so I'll give him a little bit Yeah, the whole build-up for the Brentford game and what the club done was brilliant, and us going down and meeting the heroes who had their legs blown off, and it was a really special and proud moment, and going out and with that special one-off kit. It was a nice touch, and it does. Again, I've still got that shirt. It's one of the very few shirts I've still got, but that shirt meant a lot to me, to meet these people and them to come and watch. Also, my auntie over and my dad was at the game, so it was a lot of things that meant a lot for me. And to score in that game, yeah, it was up there with them.
Yeah, Al, it's Stan here, mate. How are you? All right?
Dan, all good, mate.
Good. What would you say, apart from the where you said that Kenny Jackett G'd you up? Was there any other sort of dark spots at you time at Millwall where you thought to yourself, well, perhaps I should be moving on, or anything like that? Did it ever enter your mind?
To move on, and there was dark days and tough days, and like any work or any business or in life, you're going to have dark days and times where you would think, I want to leave and get out of here, or it's not working for you. But that's life, and we got relegated. We got relegated 1 year, and everyone left, and I ended up staying on. So I took a lot of it on. A lot of people moved on and went on to different clubs, but I stayed in the following year. It was tough. It was tough because you were one of the only players that stayed, and you still had that hangover of the relegation. So I had to come through that.
That relegation you're talking about, was that the one that was the year after Wise left?
That was the year after Wise left. Yeah, everyone sort of went their own way, didn't they, and left it, and we had no chairman, and it was a mess at that moment. And people were just leaving left, right, and centre, and it was difficult. But I decided to stay on, and I'm glad I did, because we overcome it, and then Kenny came in and turned things round and got us back pushing up and got us promoted. So I'm glad I did stay. I'm glad I worked through it. I wouldn't change any of it, if I'm being honest.
And you say that Kenny was the most influential manager. Is there, well, how can I put it? Was there any sort of managers that you were sort of sitting in front of and you thought to yourself, you're in the wrong job, mate? I mean, I'm not.
We know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, there was. The one that stood out for me, and it was Nigel Spackman. Weren't for me. Obviously, people had their thoughts about Lomas wasn't there long. Steve Claridge wasn't there long. But Nigel Spackman for me offered very little tactically and as management. And I don't like to talk bad people, but just as your question, he weren't for me, and he offered very little. So, Nigel Spackman, he didn't last long, but way out of his depth.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And what would you say your best game for Millwall's been?
Best game, Millwall, the Palace one people like, don't they? Because, it's difficult. Best game for Millwall, I'd say probably the Palace game, where it was an important year for us to stay up. Palace flying. I had some difficult boys to mark that season, and Tarabat and boys like that. But Zaha was obviously on the verge of going to Man United, and it was bigged up a lot. And when it's no doubt about his ability, and he was a difficult opponent to come up against. You know what he's like, how tricky he is, how quick he is, his pace and direct. Everyone's looking at him. Man United are there, and I'm thinking it's going to be a tough night. But I thought I'd come out on top, and it was an important point, which Robert mentioned the other week, that ended us keeping us up that year, and it was a 0-0 draw against a very good Palace team.
Indeed. Alan, talking about all the ex-managers though, mate, have you taken bits from every one of them now you're an assistant? And do you want the top job one day?
Yeah, I do. I have taken bits over the years of different coaches like Ray Wilkins, Kenny, and Wisey, and I think I've probably had 23 managers in my time at Mill since I was 10. So you do learn a lot, and you do pick up and knowledge, and you try and use it as best as you can. And I'm at Bromley now as assistant manager. We're fourth in the league. We're 5 points off top with a game in hand. We're having a strong season. A club like Bromley is similar to Millwall in a champ. We have not got the biggest of budgets, but we're overachieving in our league. With likes of Wrexham, Notts County, Grimsby, Halifax, Stockport.
Big teams.
And who are league team, ex-league teams. So I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm offering the bits of advice to the players that are there, and it's helping them.
And are Byron, Liam and George still playing well for you?
Byron, Liam, George, 3 great boys, got the DNA of Millwall, which I like, and they're the players that I want. You got to have a certain DNA to play for Millwall, and I try to bring that to Bromley, because there's a pedigree in Millwall players when they've come through, and these players have been there, and they've done really well for us. George is flying, he's great energy. Webby and Trots, great experience, great run of change room, good people, and we're having a strong season. And I'm assistant manager. I'm enjoying being. It's working with Andy Woodman, who's the manager. We worked with Pardew, worked at Newcastle and Palace, and yeah. One day I'd like to be in the hot seat, but for now I'm enjoying where I am at Bromley.
Excellent. All right, what we do now, Al, we asked that infamous question, and well, did you play with? Yeah, you did play with Morrow, didn't you?
Played with Morrow, yeah.
Was he? Well, he's obviously over at Cardiff. Did you see that in him at the time?
As a player, he surprised me that Morrow was a great guy, outspoken, says it how it is, good guy, got on well with him, knew the game, knew the football, but yeah, I never thought he'd be in management as quick as he can, but he's done well, Morrow. He's got into a bit of TV, bit of media work, and good luck to him. He's a good guy, and he's doing well there at Cardiff.
Do you think we'll beat him on Saturday?
They've picked up a bit late, didn't they? So, and Millwall's dropped off it. So, I fancy Millwall. Always never bet against Millwall. So, I'd like to think Millwall will overturn them, if I'm being honest.
Indeed. Right, Alan. Obviously, we will definitely get you back on again. You're a friend of the show, so we can obviously talk more stories in the past. So, thank you from me, and I'm sure the guys want to say thank you as well. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Gents, appreciate having me
cheers,
on.
Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Hope you win, yeah.
Cheers, Alan.
Cheers, Al.
Guys, bye-bye.
Well, we'll now listen to Bethany talking about Sands United.
We know that some men can struggle to talk about how they're feeling after the death of a baby. We hope that by building trust and a common bond, by playing together as a team, many more will be able to break their silence about baby loss and help others to do the same. Sands United FC has already saved the lives of men left feeling like they had no one to turn to in their grief. Are you a father who has lost a child? Talk to Sands United. They will help. Contact them on sufclondon@gmail.com. That's sufclondon@gmail.com. They will help.
I'm back, and I'm with the No One Likes Us talking team of Dave Hart, Stan Godwin and James Kelly. We are now joined by Tim Sells, who is the Football and Sports Development Manager of the Millwall Community Trust. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Evening all.
Evening, Tim.
Evening, Tim.
We all right?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Yeah.
All good here, thanks.
Yeah.
Before I pass across to the 3 panellists tonight, I heard that the new Millwall player performance pathway is now underway. How's it going, Tim?
Yes, it's going really, really well. We've had an unbelievable response, really, from local people as well as people from as far as Dartford and even further into Kent.
Wow.
We currently have about 150 kids on it. We're running 2 sessions a week at the moment, where they're ranging from 5 to 15-year-olds. So we sort of split it from one night as 5 to 10-year-olds and the other nights 11 to 15s. And we've got about another 250 on waiting lists, which is growing daily and unbelievable, really. The main thing at the moment is trying to secure some new venues so we can make sure that we see everyone and give them a chance to showcase themselves and hopefully grab an opportunity.
That's really good.
Yes, it's been it shocked me really, to be honest. I weren't expecting that many, especially when I'm standing there ready to coach as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's it just shows, doesn't it, that there's an appetite out there, and more importantly, there's a lot of talent as well. So,
what do you hope to get out of this this new system, mate?
What, the player pathway?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in a nutshell, more players from Millwall, isn't it? So there's lots of private academies out there, and whilst many offer sort of decent coaching, they're essentially businesses looking to make money. Our sole aim is, because we're part of the club, is to try and find talent directly for Millwall's academy. So what I've noticed since I've been in is we've run some school tournaments and that, and I've seen some talented kids, and I speak to the teacher and say, "Oh, where's that lad? Does he play for it?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, he's at Arsenal or he's at West Ham." And it's like, well, why are these youngsters? They're like 9, 10. Why are they travelling all that way when we've got a pro club like on the doorstep? Do you know what I mean? So it's just getting out and making sure that all this talent's identified early. So. As I tell you, we all know there's talented players around who ain't being spotted. So it's just about putting them all in one place and giving them the opportunity to shine. That also then makes it easier for the recruitment team to come down, because they know that there's a lot of talent all in one place. So then they can have a good look at the boys and decide whether they're at the level or not. Obviously, we all know that not every kid who lives around our area is going to make it as a pro footballer. That's just ridiculous. So what we also want to offer is, for the kids who ain't quite at the level at the moment, the opportunity to go into what's called the Junior Premier League, which is slightly above sort of grassroots level, but not quite academy level. So we want to build rep teams that can go and play in that against sort of other pro clubs and that. But yeah, essentially for kids who ain't quite there yet, but can stay on the radar of us and the main club, and hopefully progress as they get older.
Well, let's hope it works, mate.
Yeah.
Hello, Tim. It's Dave here.
Hello, Dave. You all right?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thanks. It sounds like you've got something really good going there. With half term coming up, are there any events going on for the youngsters in the area?
Yeah, we've got 2 holiday camps that we're going to be running over the half term in February. We've got one at St Paul's Sports Ground, so where our Lionesses play, obviously, and one at the Lions Centre. So both are football and multi-sports, and they're not too serious, because there's a lot of kids who just want to come and play dodgeball and stuff like that. So we sort of try and cater to all. It's only a tenner a day, and they run from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we try and make them as cheap as possible, because we're obviously a charity. Do you know what I mean? And I have in the background been developing something that is more for the kids who want to hammer football all day and take it a bit more seriously. But I believe it's going to be a bit of a game changer and something the area hasn't seen. But until I've finalised all that, I don't want to give too much away and spoil it at the moment.
Sounds interesting.
keep you guessing.
That's a sneak down and have a peep.
Yeah, it's a little sneak preview.
Evening, Tim. It's James here.
Hello, James.
Hiya. We also heard that you run a post-16 football and education programme. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, do you know much about post-16s at all? Or?
Well, just after school, after you compulsory education.
Yeah.
Going into sixth form and college, yeah.
Yeah, so we actually run our own programme. So basically, it don't stop, does it, my work, unfortunately. But it essentially mirrors what the scholars at the main club do, but is open to any players going into year 12 or 13 this September. So if I can try and paint a picture and not keep you on air for another 2 hours, it basically players study with us full time at the Lions Centre and complete a level 3 qualification in sport. So alongside that, they train for 2 hours every day with our UEFA coaches who've got experience in academy football, and they also play games on a Wednesday against other pro clubs trusts. So we also do sort of game analysis. We do individual development plans. We do fitness plans, nutrition, pretty much everything you would expect that the scholars do in the main club. It's a fantastic program. We currently play games against Norwich, Chelsea, Brentford, and loads more sort of pro teams, so that the players get fantastic opportunities to play in some fantastic arenas. This year, we're also delighted to have teamed up with Bacon's College. So for the first time, we're now able to offer potential players a chance to do A-levels rather than just a B-Tech. So we know that there's a lot of parents out there who would rather their kids do A-levels because they know that, realistically, there's very few who would go through this program who would make it as a pro. What we do say, though, is a lot of ours who come through do go on to play like non-league and get paid to play, which is obviously, that's a great feat in itself. But yeah, I'm hopeful that this year we're going to get enough players involved for multiple squads, so everyone can play at the right level for them and get the chance to represent Millwall. And I think the best bit about the whole programme is it's completely free. It's funded by the government. So, if I was that age again, I would be all over it, shall we say. I look at it jealously a lot of the time. I wish I would have gone through something like that. But yeah, we're going to be holding open trials once a month all the way through. So we've had a few already. We've got, I think, 45 people, young people have confirmed that they definitely want a place. But, we can take up to 80, 90. And, just want to keep people in education and off the streets, and also provide the best experience we can for them. So, the next one coming up is it's at St Paul's, and it's on Sunday the 20th of Feb. It's 2 to 4 p.m. And if anyone out there has kids or their kids are listening and they'd be interested, then get in contact. We'd love to have you down there at the trials.
Brilliant. So interesting, Tim, and great to find out what that little secret is you mentioned halfway through that.
Well, yeah, that's for another day, isn't it?
Definitely. We'll get you on again soon. But before we go, always got to ask, how do you think we're going to get on at Cardiff at the weekend?
Cardiff, we're going to do it, aren't we?
Good.
We're going to win 1-0, I reckon.
Take that. Thanks, Tim, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure finally getting you on. And it's bye from me.
Yeah, well, thanks for the opportunity, guys, and I hope to speak to you soon.
Cheers, Tim.
Cheers, Tim. Yeah, cheers, Tim.
All right, yeah. Thanks, guys.
Keep the work going.
All right, cheers. Nice one. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
So, before we go on to talk about the first team's next coming up fixtures of Cardiff first, then QPR, let's hear from Paul Loading talking about the Millwall Romans and the Pride. Hi, Paul. What's been happening for both the Millwall Romans and Pride recently?
Hi, Gary. Well, firstly, great to hear that Eamon's recovering well from the dreaded COVID, and again, we wish him well. It's been a bit of a quieter couple of weeks. We're just in the sort of second phase, or going into the second phase of the league this year. They're kind of structuring it differently, and there's a few fixtures that are behind. For the Romans team, we had a really good game against the Edinburgh team that came down, Edinburgh Hotscots. They came round in the quarter-finals, and we managed to beat them 6-0. We played really well, played some really great football on the Saturday, and I think even they turned around and said that we were just really on form that day.
Great result against Edinburgh, but Manchester again?
The draw for the GFSN Cup, we're now in the semi-finals. We've been given an away draw against Manchester. We played Manchester in the final last year and lost on penalties. Very, very good side. It's going to be a tough fixture going up there, but we are confident on the same token. That's being held next month, mid-March. I think it's about the 19th that we're going up there.
What's coming up next for both sides?
This month's looking a little bit quiet for fixtures for both sides. We've got an inter-club friendly again this Sunday at St Paul's. As I say, the league's sort of going through a bit of a catch-up sort of a couple of weeks. So we should know the fixtures will start for the second phase on the 2nd of March, and we should know for definite what teams we're playing. But we're just trying to get some practice in for this month, keep the fitness levels going for both sides.
Before I let you go, Paul, let's have a prediction for Millwall versus Cardiff City on Saturday.
Predictions this weekend: Millwall are home to Cardiff. We've got to pick up some points this weekend. I think we're sitting at 15th at the moment, so I'm going to put some positive energy out there and say a Millwall 2-0 win.
So Cardiff is up next for the Lions, but before we discuss that, our Stato Henry has some statistics for us.
Evening Gary, evening all. Henry here with a few stats for our Cardiff game this weekend at the Den. Cardiff coming off a 4-0 win in the week, unlike our 3-0 victory, so that's a 7-goal swing that you're going to have to look for. Currently Cardiff are 1-9, drawn 5, lost 15. What I would say is the majority of those losses have come at home. They have won 5 games on the road, as opposed to only 4 at home, and one of those of course coming against us when we lost 3-1 earlier this season. The big news of course for Millwall will be the return of Steve Morrison's Cardiff's manager. He seems to have absolutely revolutionised the football club since he's come in. He will want a result at the Den. You know, people are a bit Marmite with Steve, aren't they? They remember the comments at the final in 2017. So, huge game, and I think really we're going to be up against it again. That's my opinion. I think statistics maybe go out the window a little bit for this one. Cardiff looking for their first win at the Den for quite a while, actually. So, anyway, time that we stepped up, I think. But those are the stats for the game coming this weekend. The one factor I don't think we can look beyond is the return of Steve Morrison. His team are going to be fired up. You saw that against Liverpool, where they lost 3-1 at the weekend. They're not a bad footballing side, and they're coming off the back of a 4-0 victory, and they currently are on fairly decent form. 5 points behind us in the table. Cardiff this weekend at the Den.
So guys, what are your thoughts on the Cardiff game? I'll start with you, Dave.
With Stevie Morrison coming back down, he's made some great signings. He's brought some youngsters through his youth academy where he was a manager, so he knows what he's got. I think he's putting together quite a strong team. Hopefully we can stop his team scoring on the weekend. I think we can actually win this game. This is one that we can win. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing the man down and seeing what sort of reception he gets from the fans.
Yeah, it'd be interesting that one, wouldn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Well, I think he'll get a good reception, and that's fully deserved. But at the end of the day, we can't have any sentimentality about it. I mean, Steve Morrison was a great player for Millwall, but he's now the opposition manager. And we want to go and beat him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Yep.
Yeah.
James, you got any further thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Cardiff got a very good result the other night against Peterborough. I think they beat them 4-0 in the end. They've as we've said, they've strengthened in January. They brought in 2 players that we were interested in, Jordan Hugo and Uche Ikpeazu, who are scoring for them. Sorry?
Well pronounced.
Yeah. They've also got some decent players at the back. Aidan Flint, Sean Morrison, young lad Perry Ng, and Alex Smithies in goal. So they're not going to be pushovers, Cardiff. They're in a relegation battle. They need to get some points on the board. But look, as Dave said, it's a very winnable game. And I think if we play if we actually attack the game like we did against Fulham and West Brom in the second half, I think we can come out of this with a win. No problem.
And even if we do it the same way we did against Birmingham City.
Yeah, but Birmingham at home this season was the best performance we've had this season. And if we play like that and we play like that against Cardiff, we'll get 3 points in the bag. No problem.
I mean that's the easy way of doing it. I mean, you hear all these people about moaning and they're complaining about this, that, and the other. If we put in performances from Saturday, like we did against Birmingham in every game, nobody can moan about nothing, because if they moan about them sort of performances, well, there's no pleasing them. You know. That's the sort of effort and commitment against Birmingham that we've got to show every week, and we should be showing every week. No argument there.
No, agreed. Then next up, we have QPR, and Henry's got some more thoughts on that as well.
We have QPR coming to the Den this Tuesday evening. I'm in big problems. I don't really know where to start with this one. Barnsley currently fourth in the table. They've won 7 of their 13 away games. Their form coming into this away from home they've only dropped 2 points out of the last 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So they are coming into this on good form with a sort of hoodoo over us as well. I know that potentially we shouldn't think about things like that, but definitely QPR coming in on very strong form, a good side. We're going to struggle. They midweek drew 2-2 with Middlesbrough, which at their ground they've won 15, drawn 7, lost 7. So this is going to be a big test for us, especially coming off the back of what will be a physical encounter against Cardiff at the weekend. Difficult games. As I said, this is a difficult run of form for the Lions. So this again will be a big test. There will be at least 2,000 QPR fans full of jubilance coming across. And the big question for us is if we're actually able to create and take our chances. Queen's Park Rangers on form at the moment and scoring a lot of goals. So thoughts over to the panel.
So this time round, I'll go to James first. What are your thoughts on the QPR game?
Well, QPR is going to be a whole different animal to Cardiff, I'm afraid. They're doing really well in the playoffs. They've got some decent players. They've got Chris Willock, Charlie Austin, Lyndon Dykes. I believe they've got Albert Adoma as well, Rob Dickey, Seni Dieng, who's just come back from the African Cup of Nations. I thought we actually done well to get a point against them at Loftus Road at the start of the season, because from the beginning of the season, they were always going to be up there for going for promotion this season. And they've got a very good manager in Mark Warburton. So I think it will be a bit tougher. And if I'm being honest, I'll be happy to take a draw from this game. So yeah, I don't know what more to add on that, I'm afraid.
No, fair enough. I'll ask Dave and Stan next. Dave, over to you.
Yeah, I view this one as a really going to be a tough game. It's a midweek game, and the way things have been recently, if we have a good day or the weekend against Cardiff, it's going to be one of those disappointing evenings again. And I just hope we can get a draw out of it, because I'll take that.
Agreed, Stan.
Well, well, you see, this game. Yeah, well, don't worry. This game's going to be an interesting game. I mean, they're a very good side. They fully deserve to be where they are. I mean, and they've got an excellent manager. And I have to say that, I would never object to him coming to Millwall as the manager. But it's an interesting point because, again, you see, coming back to what I was talking about earlier, somebody mentioned Albert Adoma, right?
Yeah.
Now this is what I mean. Now, if, for example, when we play him, and he's playing and he puts on some glittering performance, right? I'm not saying he's going to score goals, but he's the standout player for QPR that night, giving us all sorts of problems if it happens. people will be saying, "Oh, big budget, he's on big money and whatever." That's what they'll say. Guarantee it. The first time we come up against Albert Adoma, when we played, he played at Barnet. And he was playing, it was his first season in the second division and that was the season after we lost.
Was that even ripped us a new one in the cup?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, right.
Wow.
And we lost to Barnet too. That was his first game. He played for some non-league outfit in Middlesex. He comes to Barnet, right, and then he goes. Then eventually he gets transferred up, and he's a good player. But what I'm getting at is, and this is the point I'm looking at. He ain't come off some glittering production line of footballers. He started off at some non-league mob and started his league career in Barnet.
Harrow Borough. Just Googled it for you.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Now, you know, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from him. But all I'm saying is if he turned out a sparkling performance, was man of the match and whatever, right? People say, oh, well, I know I can see it now. Oh, yeah, but he's on big budgets. They got all this and he's at QPR. Look at the background of the player, right? He didn't get on big money when he first started. He's got on the big money now because he's earned it. Because he's had good, obviously he's a good player and he's had good coaching.
Yeah.
That's how he's on the big money now. But he wasn't when he started at Barnet, was he?
No. No.
That's what I'm saying. But anyway, but getting back to QPR, it's going to be an interesting game. And, you know, I would think that our best, I mean, I'd obviously want to win the game, but I'd be happy with a draw.
Right. Well, on that note, let's get some predictions. Cardiff first. James, Cardiff.
Yeah, I'm going to be confident in this one. I'm going to say 2-0.
Fair enough. Dave?
2-0.
2-1.
Cool. Stan?
Yeah, I'd go 3-1.
Okay, I'll go 2-0 on Cardiff. QPR, James?
Again, as I said, I think a draw would be a decent result for us. I'm going to say 1-1.
Stan?
Well, if we're gonna win the game, I think it'd be by the odd goal. So it'd see like either be 1-0 or 2-1, something like that. But I mean, if it's going to be a draw, I think it'd be 1-0 or yeah.
And Dave,
I'm edging my bets really.
Fair enough. Over to you, Dave.
I know what you're saying, Stan. I think this game has got goals in it, so
yeah, you may be right, Dave.
I'll go with 2-2.
Desmond. And I'll go 1-0. Keep it tight on that one. I know the QPR games have been lately, they've been a goal fest, haven't they? But I'll take a 1-0 on that one. So, on the last show, we mentioned that Brian was not very well. Brian King, that is. Brian has personally asked us to say thank you to all the well wishes that he's received. And again, from the team, get well soon, Brian. And we look forward to seeing you down again very, very soon. Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team bring reports from our games both home and away, where our roving reporter Kai Bennett will be doing the updates. Also, on the Millwall Community Matters, you can listen to Maritime Broadcasting on 96.5 FM. That's it from me. Thanks, Dave.
Cheers to everyone.
Thanks, Stan.
Yeah, cheers, Gal.
And thanks, James.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Cool.
Yeah. See ya.